Welcome to Gifted Rating Scales training. In this training, we'll go over an overview of the TD screening process, some background information about GRS and the scales we use, the impact the GRS has on identification, and tips, tricks, and reminders for completing the GRS forms. Our district universally screens all second grade students with a comprehensive process that includes both formal and informal assessments. Every student is rated with GRS, which is an informal opportunity, and COGAT testing and MAP testing, which are both formal opportunities. If a student receives qualifying GRS scores, they earn points on our gifted identification rubric, which increases their chance of being identified gifted. While the GRS alone does not place a student in TD, it does increase their chances of TD certification and is a valuable part of the screening process. Students who score in the 84th percentile or higher on GRS categories show high probability and very high probability of gifted classification. If students score in the 84th percentile or higher in at least 3 areas of the GRS, with at least one of those scores in intellectual, academic, or creativity, they can earn 6 points on our rubric. Pause the video now if you'd like more time to read about gifted rating scales. You will rate each student in 6 areas: intellectual, academic, creativity, artistic talent, leadership, and motivation. I will let you read the next few slides on your own. As I move through the slides, feel free to pause if you need more time. First, the intellectual scale. Academic scale. Creativity scale. Artistic talent scale. Leadership scale. And motivation scale. Just some notes about leadership and motivation. Positive or negative behaviors are not differentiated on the GRS. Ethnically diverse and SES groups may demonstrate these traits differently. Teacher pleasers are not necessarily leaders, and independence should be considered in these categories. Here are some tips to remember as you rate students. Most importantly, compare the child to children across the nation, not to other children in your school or classroom, and think about what a typical first grader looks like. Observe your students over time to determine traits that can be more challenging. In the Google form accompanying this presentation, you will be asked to sign that you've read and agreed to what is stated in the accountability statement. Please read carefully. A few more reminders as you complete the forms. It is not best practice to do your whole class in one sitting. It's best to do no more than 5 at a time. Do not let motivation or task commitment slant your view of a child's abilities unless you are specifically asked to rate motivation and task commitment. It's important to look beyond behavior when rating most areas. Reach out to your TD teacher if you're unsure about what a rating area means. In the Google form where you found this presentation, you will also find links to your roster with a session code for each student in your class. You do not need username or password. You will simply use the URL provided on the roster and the individualized session code for each student in your class. These can easily be completed at home or from any device. This video is super helpful in understanding how to complete the GRS forms electronically. The video is linked in the Google form for your viewing convenience. You cannot start a form and come back to it later. Once you start a form for one child, you must see it through to completion. If you've known a student for less than 6 weeks, skip that student and they will be scored at a later date or even in the next grade. Make sure you let your TD teacher know those individual cases. If you score a student the same rating over and over or all the way down for one category, the results will be deemed invalid. Please read each individual indicator and rate thoughtfully. Thank you for your help in our identification process. We really appreciate your time and attentiveness. If you have further questions, we are available via email anytime during this process, so feel free to reach out.